Okay, so this is a story of JK at age 16. She had a traumatic brain injury while on holiday with her parents. You can see she had a car crash. JK was told there's nothing that could be done to her. Okay, a story of so many, including me. So you see the eyes are going all over the place. She's not able to focus. It's very difficult for her to do that. So after 6 weeks of intensive treatment plan at IFN, JK resumed normal life attending university with her peers. Check this out. Look at that smile. See? Isn't that incredible? After 6 weeks of treatment, this is the result. And people thought the doctor was telling her there's nothing that can be done. All right, it's just incredible. Okay, this is a story of Madison at age 4. Madison was treated for IFN for severe epilepsy, could have up to 100 seizures per day. Very, very serious. Madison's first QEEG was at IFN. You see, he got the cap on with the sensors. Within a week, her seizure rate dropped by 90%. If that's not life-changing, I don't know what it is. 90%. For her and her family, totally life-changing. Look at that smile. Okay, next one is, this is the story of RH at age 12. RH had a bicycle accident resulting in a mild concussion. In the following days, he deteriorated, developing significant leg pain and ultimately unable to walk without assistance. Repeatedly, his parents were told he was simply attention-seeking. He can't walk. And this is the story of so many of us. The doctors just say, oh, I just want attention, or just, it's a thing, it's just, it's so sad, okay? We just need to get the word out. People need to know about this. So that's what the parents were told. Then they went to, after 6 months care of IFN, look, see, the guy's walking. He needed the brain to be rewired, Like, it was possible for him. He wasn't seeking attention. This is 9 months of care with IFN. See that walking. It's amazing. RH is now back to living a normal teenage life. Just incredible. Okay, this is the story of Sam at age 18. Sam suffered a severe neck injury while at the beach, which left him quadriplegic. Very, very serious. He was told he had less than 1% chance of regaining any movement. After intensive 6-week treatment, see, he's moving his left leg because there was a connection in his neck. So they probably ran TDCS up and down the spine to restore that connection, and then they work on the brain. But they see there's movement in his left foot. After 12 months of treatment with IFN, see, he's walking aided. See, nice walking just with Dr. Beck next to him. And then he's dancing his way to recovery. That's a miracle. Look at that. You see what he's doing? 1% chance of having any movement. Finally, against all odds, Sam walks unaided. I mean, look at that. Whole families can be transformed forever, okay? This is Ben. Let me go back real quick. So this is Sam. He walks unaided. Incredible. This is the story of Ben at age 12. He was a problem child, turned award winner. His teachers didn't know what to do with him. He was diagnosed with 3-year history of ADHD and dyslexia. See his eyes? So he began failing at several schools, unable to achieve the required milestones. IFN identified he suffered with sensory confusion involving movement of his eyes. It was not ADHD. But that's what the label they gave him. That was his challenge, not ADHD. So there was something that had to be rewired in the brain. So after 12 weeks of treatment, he, let's see what it says here. After 12 treatments with IFN, Ben is now winning awards at school. Amazing. He can read and no longer suffer with anxiety. He's back to living a normal life. I mean, if that isn't incredible, I don't know what is. In the same story that I had, people said all these different things. It was just crazy. But let me before I get into my story, let me share a little bit about a disclaimer here. I'm not a doctor. I'm a patient. So the information shared in this presentation is based on my personal experiences and not intended as medical advice. Always consult with a healthcare professional for medical concerns, all right? So before I get into my story, what I just showed you guys is where I went. I went to Institute of Functional Neuroscience. This is Dr. Randy Beck. You got the website right there. They're in Australia, Perth, Australia, but they do home treatment to anywhere in the world. So what I do, I just sit over the video call and they tell me where to put the pads and to do the different treatments. So it's supervised, of course, and the clinicians walk you through that and you get treated over call. I mean, the amount of money I've saved not having to travel, stay in hotels, all kind of stuff. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on hotels, on travel, being able with my mom. She took me everywhere because I was in a really bad place. I'll share more later. But if there's home treatment available, use promo code Bjorn to get a discount on your first treatment. Of course, I get referral commission for that, so that it helps me out, that I can tell more people about this. I'll share a little more about my story now. This is what I looked like just a few years ago. I was a total mess. My brain could not process light, couldn't process sound. I had electricity going down, up and down my spine. I was in a state of panic, 24/7 state of panic. And the brain couldn't snap out of it. No deep breathing. They gave me all kinds of drugs. There's nothing that would snap me out of it. Because what happened is that C1 was out of whack and was pressing on the brainstem and on the spinal cord. And that's why the connection from the body to the brain was messed up. So I had it for so long from an injury I had 20 years ago, and I didn't know about it. It got progressively worse. And because of that, the brain now had to be rewired back to its normal state. So the neck signal was messed up. Then they had to rewire the brain back to its normal state after they could fix the neck out. Anyway, I've tried every therapy out there. I'm telling you, everything. Also went for Lyme's disease as well to get rid of that. But I'm telling you, I have tried every therapy out there. And I said we spent like $250,000 traveling all over the place. Spent a couple of weeks in Germany where they heated up my body to 42.6 degrees. I'll share more about that later. But anyways, I was blindfolded, sitting in a room for many years, couldn't do anything, couldn't go outside. It was terrible, awful. In a state of panic. So finally, we got to Dr. Beck and we were able to get the treatment. But I'll share more about how we kind of got through that process. The symptoms that they deal with for this kind of stuff, right? Got depression. You can imagine being blindfolded for years in a state of panic, right? I don't know if you ever had that before, but the body could not snap out of it. So everything was in a constant state of panic about everything, no matter what it was, couldn't calm down because the brainstem was being pressed on and the spinal cord. So it was like, it's the end. Like I literally thought it was the end because the brain was telling me it is the end. You snap that spinal cord, whatever, you're in trouble. Anyway, so it damaged the brainstem even more. You're in trouble. So it was the root and the issue in the neck that created all these issues in the brain where I couldn't process light, sound. I could hear the cars driving by outside a mile away. I'd be like, there's a car coming. Sure enough, it'd be like some pickup truck or a motorcycle or something like that with a specific sound. So anyways, okay, let me just go over the symptoms that you can be treated for at Dr. Beck at IFN. So the symptoms are not, they don't treat the symptoms, they treat the brain. So it's very, very different than going in and saying, hey, I have this. They look at that, but the main thing is look into the brain to see what's going on and then make changes. So if you struggle with depression, fear, anxiety, addiction, phobias, all this stuff. I had issues with dyslexia, stress, panic attacks, migraines. My goodness, it was terrible when it happened. Irritability, fatigue, sleep difficulties. I didn't sleep. I went for weeks without sleeping. Mood swings, chronic pain, obsessive compulsive disorder, autism, bipolar, PTSD, light sensitivity, sound sensitivity, had all that, ADHD, concentration difficulties, Lyme's disease, post-concussion syndrome, neck injury, which is what I had, traumatic brain injury, you saw the video, I had that too, long COVID, stroke recovery, epileptic seizures, functional neurological disorder. FND, functional neurological disorder, is usually the label the doctors will give you if they basically say, we have no idea what's wrong with you, but you're going through this, and we have no idea. So that's what they say. But it's just a brain thing that they need to rewire. So these are a lot of the symptoms that people go for. So when I went there, they treated the brain, and then the symptoms then started slowly going away. Till I'm out now, I can go outside. I don't have to wear sunglasses anymore. I was completely blindfolded, then I started wearing sunglasses. So they treat the brain, and then the symptoms then gradually start going away, like is what it did with me. So they monitor the symptoms to see what happens. Because every brain is different. You never know what's going to happen. You never know how your brain is going to respond, but that's why they have to go in there, try it, tweak it, and then do these changes, which I'll explain more now. So the vagus nerve and C1 atlas is connected. There's these really good, I'll send you a website that details this explains it very, very well. But if your neck is out of whack, the first nerve in the cranial nerve that gets pressed on is the vagus nerve. So when you press on that one, you get digestive issues. Then you go to the doctor and you say, hey, I got stomach problems. Well, they give you medication. They load you up on medication, but that's not the root of the issue. The root issue for me, at least, was the vagus nerve that was being pressed on in my spine. So heart rate, digestion, breathing, voice, inflammatory response, mood, anxiety, immune function, gut-brain axis, all these things affect the vagus nerve. So if you don't take care of that, if you have neck issues and you have stomach issues with your stomach, it's probably the cranial nerve, vagus nerve, which is the first cranial nerve that gets pressed on when C1 atlas is out of whack. Very, very important to get that checked out. Lyme disease, I also had that, so I got treated for that as well in Germany. I'll show these are all the things I tried, okay? Traditional neurofeedback, and that works for a lot of people. A lot of people have great success with traditional neurofeedback. For me, it didn't work. It's like trying to tweak the brain in that way is very, very difficult because it's like an internal change. But with TDCS, which I'll explain later, it's from the outside, by sending a little bit of electricity through, you nudge your brain a little bit to make that change, and it's a lot faster. A lot easier than traditional neurofeedback, which has been around forever. I don't know, 50, 60 years now. But a lot of people get well from that, but a lot of people don't. And people who are as serious as me, I was so far out there of the normal range, they had to bring me back. And maybe now I could get some benefits from additional neurofeedback, but I don't know. I was just way out there. Then you got low energy neurofeedback system, LENS, which is, they send a little bit of electricity through their brain, tiny amount. And a lot of people have great success with that. I did it, didn't do anything for me. Got transcranial magnetic stimulation. I did that in Germany. I didn't do it long enough to really see if it, to get results from that, but it didn't do anything for me. A lot of people get well from that, but they're treating one area of the brain. And what I've learned is you got to look at the brain as a whole, see what is going on in the brain, not just that one area. Because if you do medication, they flood your entire brain. So if you have areas that are fine functioning, they're going to have issues because you're flooding the brain with medication. Does that make sense? So, and then also with transcranial direct stimulation, they put it usually right here, but it could be that this area is overcompensating for this area or that area. So, you got to do a QEEG scan first to figure out what is going on. And then that's why I like TDC, where I go with Dr. Beck, because he looks at the brain as a whole to see what's going on versus just treating one specific area. Then we got light laser therapy. He does that as well, but I had these big pads that I put on and went to Canada to do, which I now regret because I was doing it all over the brain. And again, what I was saying is that if you have one area that's functioning normally, but another area is not, but you're treating the whole brain, this one area that's functioning normally is going to be affected by it. You're going to speed things up, slow things down, the brain waves are going to change. So you got to look at the brain as a whole. I really regret using the laser and light therapy that I did. Dr. Beck does it for specific areas as well. If you go to his clinic. But anyway, hyperbaric chamber, I did that. Fantastic. That I highly recommend. Get enough oxygen in the body. Hyperthermia, they heated my body up to 42.76 degrees twice in a week. I'm telling you. It's crazy, man. It's like the stuff I've done. But this is for Lyme disease, to kill Lyme disease. Then they inject you with antibiotics to kill it off, flush it out. So, I mean, it's great stuff. It's one of the best places for that kind of treatment in the world. Or the first place I started it. Let me know if you have questions about that. That's hypothermia, hypnosis. I mean, I've tried when you're desperate, you just didn't know we were like, people were telling us about all these things. So we just tried all these crazy things. Meditation, try that, didn't do anything. It was just didn't. When you state of panic and then, you need to meditate more, you need to relax, you need deep breathing. I'm telling you, it's not possible. It wasn't possible when you're in a state of panic. I don't know if you've ever been in that before, but nothing worked because the body was telling the brain it's the end because there's something serious going on in the neck that needed to be resolved. So you can't just sit there and start meditating. It just didn't work for me. Medication, I told you, when you flood the brain, you affect every area of the brain, not just one area, and it can mess you up. So finally, I tried TDCS, and now you're like, well, what is TDCS? Well, let me tell you about it, okay? Anyway, this is what I look like now. For those of you who are just listening, anyways, I'm not blindfolded anymore. I used to be blindfolded 24/7. These are a lot of treatments I went through. So the process, we heard about, a chiropractor told us about the Carrick Institute. He's like, dude, you got to watch this video. You got to go there. These people are great. So we called them and they don't treat people anymore. So I was like, okay, well, we heard about this place and the treatments that they use are very unique, very different than anything I've ever heard. Like in this example, this boy, he has a head injury and his left arm, he can't move it very well. So they put a mirror covering his left arm. And he looks into the mirror and he lifts his right arm. So in the mirror, his brain thinks it's his left arm being lifted up. So they hacked the brain to establish the connection, and then his left arm starts working again. So do that again and again and again to hack the brain. So at Carrick Institute, they've been for 20, 30 years, all the professional athletes, all the big names with head injuries would go there for treatment. But so Dr. Beck, who I've been going to at IFN, he was one of their top doctors there, working under Dr. Carrick, and he learned all these different techniques. But then Dr. Beck got into TDCS, transcranial direct current stimulation, which I'll talk more about, and he got into QEEG, brain mapping, with these sensors putting on a cap on your head to be able to read it, to interpret what's going on in the brain. So he decided he loves these techniques, but he wanted to do TDCS with QEEG, so he started his own business combining these techniques, these old techniques that have been used for decades to help people overcome different issues, but he's combining that with the cutting edge technology of transcranial direct current stimulation and QEEG, which makes this amazing. So what is the QEEG brain map? Well, all it is, you put a cap on your head with these different sensors, 19 sensors, and they scan your entire brain. So you sit there for 5 minutes, you don't feel anything, you're just sitting there. Sometimes eyes open, sometimes eyes closed, depending on what you're doing. And then the computer will put a brain map, which you see on the picture, what you say, green, blue, different colors. Now, they represent the brain waves going on in the brain. And that's how you're able to interpret to see what is going on with the brain based on the sensors that have picked up the brain waves in the brain at that state. So you'll compare that every 18 sessions, you do a new scan to be able to see, hey, what are the changes? And Dr. Beck is the best in the world, okay? The best in the world to interpret these scans because he's done it the longest. And they used to be able to do it for different, like for other things, but now they do it, he does it for illnesses, people with issues like me, where the brain is not functioning the way it's supposed to. He's the best in the world, he's done it the longest. He writes the books about this kind of stuff, and anyone who needs information or somebody to do top insight when it comes to QEEG scans, he's the one they go to, and he handles all the worst cases. People like me who've been told, and that girl is on the video, who've been told there's nothing they can do, they all get sent to Dr. Beck because he's considered the best in the world. So if you're going to deal with something with the brain, you want to go to the best in the world, and right now, Dr. Beck is the best in the world, and you can get treated at home. I'm biased. I get a referral commission. I know that. But I'm just telling you, this is the best place you're going to find. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars like I did to go to these other places. So this Dr. Beck, this information, just use home treatment available over call. I wouldn't tell people about it if you can do home treatment because it's just the thing of having to tell somebody to fly to Australia for like 6 months or a year to get treated. Nobody can afford that. Nobody. So now they do the home treatment. I was like, okay, I'm going to tell everybody about it because this is doable. I can be treated. I'm being treated by home. I'm not 100% yet. I still have a ways to go, but I'm way better than what I was now. About 80%, 85% better now. So all I'm saying is that you can be treated at home, which changes everything. Like everything changes. It's so much. The money I've spent. It's just. Few months in California, you know how expensive that is to rent a car, to get driven back and forth, for taxis, for hotels. It's so expensive, months on months. You know, that's why I'm so excited and I tell about it. But yeah, I'm totally biased. But I've been everywhere else. I can tell you, this is the best place. There's no other place like it. Okay, he's the best in the world. You're gonna tweak the brain. You better go to the best place. I'm telling you, you don't want to mess things up. There's one lady who bought her a kit and did it at home. She was like I'll just rewire my brain at home. She followed some online kit. Messed her brain up, had to go to Dr. Beck to have him just work on resolving the issue she created by rewiring her brain in a negative way, so he had to come and balance things out again. You don't want to do that, I'm telling you. You can just have the equipment sent to you, but you do it supervised, where Dr. Beck is the one that tells you where to put it and walks you through that whole thing. All right, Dr. Beck combines TDCS with multiple therapies, what I was saying earlier. Neuroplasticity is the brain's incredible ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections as it changes in response to stimuli. Its ability to adapt to the environment. So he takes the old techniques he learned at Dr. Carrick's Clinic Institute, and he combines that with the new cutting-edge technology, QEEG scans and TDCS. And I'm telling you, the results they're getting, you saw the videos in the beginning. It's not just me, it's other people as well who are having tremendous results from this. All right, so TDCS, what is it? Transcranial direct current stimulation. TDCS, so if I just say TDCAS, that's what I mean, because it's just a long word. It's an emerging neuromodulation technique that provides a safe, low-cost, and non-invasive means of modulating the brain. Typical, so just talk a little bit. So just a little box with a cord, and you put these pads on your head. Electricity goes in one and out the other one. So this is not some crazy that's just he does. A lot of people, you can buy these kits online, but. And I'm just going to give an example of how DARPA hacked a science writer's brain and turned her into a sharpshooter. Check this out, okay? So this has been around for many, many decades now. So in 2007, science writer and editor Sally Adee attended a tech conference for DARPA. Anyways, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but with the device on her head, delivering electrical currents, Adee went from a frustrated shooter to a skilled sniper, okay? So this is what the military used to train their snipers, their drone operators. This is the technique, the same thing, because they know the results are so much faster than anything else. So she was just a science writer. She's now a skilled sniper because they trained her using transcranial direct current stimulation, and the results are so much faster than anything else. But now Dr. Beck is taking it from, instead of training people for in the military, he's saying like people with issues, with illnesses, with sensory issues like me, or functional neurology disorder, or stroke recovery, whatever it might be. These are the people now he's helping with the same technology, because that's what he specializes in, because he's just a very, very compassionate guy. Really wonderful to work with. on restoring just a function. He walks you through everything and explains it like this is what's going on. It's just, he's fantastic. Okay. Definition of transcranial direct current stimulation. It's a stimulation is a non-invasive, painless brain stimulation treatment that uses direct electrical currents to stimulate specific parts of the brain. It's tiny, tiny, tiny. Constant, low-intensity current is passed through 2 electrodes placed over the head, which modulates neural activity. It's a tiny amount of electricity. It doesn't hurt. You don't feel anything. Sometimes a little bit of tingling if you don't have enough saline on the pads, but that's it. It's a very, very simple process. And you don't, now they're like opening up people's brains, putting chips in it and zapping them, all these different things. But this is non-invasive. So you just put the pads on your head and you do the 18 sessions, do specific trainings combined with, you don't just do the transcranial direct current stimulation at the time, you do combine with exercises that he combines, and that's what makes this so powerful. Like nobody else in the world does this because they don't know how to do it. He's been doing it the longest and he's become the best at it. And at interpreting, the main thing is how to interpret the QEEG scans. Most doctors, they're like, we don't know. They just let the computer do the traditional neurofeedback. But Dr. Beck can look at it and say, okay, this is going on here, there. Okay, this place is going too fast. This place is too slow. And then he'll tweak it to get the optimal setting that going back to its normal design. So DC also affects spinal neurons. So I had DC going up and down my spine because my neck was so messed up. And the guy earlier that I showed in the video, let me see if I can find that one again. I'm pretty sure they did the same thing with him, where this guy right here, what was his name again? Let's see. Isn't that amazing? He told his 1% chance. Sam suffered a severe neck injury whilst at the beach. So because of that, he had 1 chance of regaining any movement. So I believe they probably ran DC up and down, transcranial direct currents up and down his neck too, not just his head, but to restore the connection to the neck, to the head, and then they can start rewiring the brain. So you can see the amazing stuff. So that's how it works. You don't just treat the brain, you got to treat the neck sometimes. If there's been a neck injury, restore the neck connection again, and then you can go back to rewire the brain. Because if the brain stays in a certain state for a long time, like it did with me, it becomes chronic. The brain thinks that's normal, but it's not. So you got to rewire it back to normal, because when it's been getting the wrong signals or lack of signals, it changes and it thinks, well, so like if my shoulder has a knock and I walk around like this for a long time, what happens is that shoulder, the brain is going to think this is normal, and becomes chronic. That's why you got to get the shoulder down again. And once you get it down again like that, you got to tell the brain that that's normal. So you got to do different exercises to rewire the brain to make sure the brain's like, okay, this is normal, not this. This is not normal. This is normal. But the brain thinks this is normal. Another example, if you go to the concert and you're like a rock star or something like that, and you're up there rocking like 10,000 people listening to you, you're on a massive high. So if you can, and then so the body will sometimes try to bring you back down to normal, but sometimes, like if you can combine medication or drugs or alcohol, these kind of things, then sometimes you get the brain, instead of is up here at a high, then it comes down here at a low, and it tries to balance it out. So the goal is to come back here, but sometimes people get stuck down here, and you get depressed, which I was too, because of the medication, all that kind of stuff. It's messy, interfering with this. So the brain, this is normal. It's normal to be full of adrenaline, all that kind of stuff when you're at a concert, rock, not that kind of stuff. But then the brain will try to bring you back down here, so it swings the other way, and then the goal is to bring you up. But a lot of us get stuck down here because of medication or infections or whatever it can be, and that's why the brain needs help to be nudged to come back to normal. Does that make sense? That's the best way I can explain it from what I've been told. Here's the brain map. This is somebody with ADHD. And they say the markers for that are very obvious. You do a brain scan, and they're like, boom, we knew exactly. Like they're like, we're pretty sure you have ADHD. Like they can see. They won't, Dr. Beck won't say it like that. But we're in none of the places I went said it like that. But they say we look at the brain scan and see what's going on, and they see different colors. So this is one because it's high beta. See all the two blue there? It's high beta, and that needs to be broken up. So there's functional disconnects. I had 6 of them. That 1 or 2 is a lot. So what you want to do is Dr. Beck will go in, he'll say, okay, there's too much blue right there. Yeah, he does it more sophisticated. But the point is to get some green. Green is normal. Blue is too slow. Red is too fast. So it's all these things happening, but it's in a different brainwave and frequencies. I don't know how to explain all this. You have to have Dr. Beck explain it to you. I know more than the average person, but just because I've been on these calls. But that's what he looks like, and he can say, hey, This is somebody with ADHD, very high chance of them having ADHD, and they'll go in and tweak it. So every brain map is different. Yours is going to be different than mine. Mine's going to be different than everyone else. But they have a wide range of samples that they put together of people who have had these scans, and they know, so they compare you and my scan to people who do not have these symptoms. So they kind of know what then is normal range. Like most people are in this range. I was like way out there, so they had to bring me in here. And the same thing is going to be for you. So the best thing you got to do is just to get a scan to see what they say, and then you can decide whether you want to do treatment later. Just have a call, say, ask Dr. Beck what is going on in my brain. He'll explain everything, what he sees, and then what he's going to tweak and then hopefully the goal is to get the symptoms to go away. And these things take time. You can only do the changes a little bit at a time, because if you do too much, it will backfire. The brain can't handle that much in one treatment. So you got to do very, very slowly, very, very little by little. He'll tell you, and that's true because you're messing with the brain. The brain controls everything. You don't want to go too fast and mess things up. You want to go very, very slowly. I'm telling you, he's so good at that, and he explains everything that's going on, and he shows you these brain maps. So now you can say, well, when I went there, people said, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just making stuff up in your brain and blah blah blah." And they thought I was crazy. They literally told me I was crazy. And so just to be able to go and see somebody tell you that, hey, I see there are some issues in your brain. Your brain is not functioning the way it's supposed to. This area is not connected to this area. This area is too fast. We need to restore this connection and do all these different things. I was like, oh, finally somebody tells me like what's going on in my brain. I knew there was something wrong. Anyways, I got to get the neck first and then the brain. But tell me, if you got any issues and you've tried everything else, please do a brain scan, set up a call with Dr. Beck, have him explain it, and then you can decide whether you want to do treatments or not. So if you know of anybody who has any issues that I described earlier, the symptoms I went over, seriously, please send them this video. Yes, I am very biased. I get referral commission. I know that. But I'm telling you, I've been everywhere. They want to call me, set up a call, totally fine. I'll tell you all the different treatments out there, how they work. You can try those out as well if you want to. But I'm telling you, if you can deal with the brain, you want to go to the best one. And that, as of now, it is Dr. Beck. And because you can do home treatment, very few people, I don't know of anyone else that does home treatment for the brain. I mean, I don't know if you know how amazing that is, but it's life-changing for people like me who have been through so much crap, you know? Being told all these lies, basically, from these doctors. They didn't know better. They weren't lying, but it's been rough. And if you know somebody who's gone through this kind of crap, then just let them know about Dr. Beck and have a call. And then, you know, kids with autism are seeing massive improvements. It's very, very difficult, but it's a brain issue. There was an inflammation that had happened at some point and created issues in the brain. And then you have ADHD, all these things. Like you see these kids, we got to help them. We got to get the word out there and send them I'll do everything I can to explain it. And then they can have a call with Dr. Beck or just send them straight to Dr. Beck. And then figure these out. You got to help some people, okay? This is serious stuff. It's not fun. When you're told it's game over, that you're crazy and it's game over, it's pretty devastating. And then to finally go to a place that can tell you what's going on, and then from being told it's game over to being able to go out in the sun again and enjoy my time with my family, to be a husband again, to be a father again. You could probably hear my kid in the background. I'm telling you, it's life-changing. So please, let's change the world. Let's tell all these people who need help, who are suffering. Let's get the word out. Please share this with anyone you want to, or have them call me, and then I'll do anything I can help. You can go to my website, bjornbrain.com. Put together everything I know about the treatment as well, FAQs, all that kind of stuff. Check it out, and let's get everyone well, okay? All right. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day. Send me a message if you have any questions. Bye-bye.